And welcome to SOLIDWORKS Skills video.
Within SOLIDWORKS, when you're defining a 3D model, you'll initially create a sketch and then refer to that sketch when creating a feature, one or more features. Within those sketches, you need to define how big things are and where they are located reference to each other or to your datum. We'll describe datums later on. To get started, I'll create a new part and right away go right into a sketch. I'll put the sketch on the front plane. I'll add a rectangle. These functions should be comfortable for you by now. So here I am with a simple rectangle, and I need to define the size of the rectangle. It has a vertical size, which would be between these two lines, and a horizontal width, which would be between these two lines, the two vertical lines. So let me go ahead and click on Smart Dimension. I'll show you a shorthand in a moment. And now I'm in dimensioning mode. Notice how the cursor changed appearance. That's your primary and sometimes only clue that you're in dimension mode. I'm going to dimension the left-hand line. As I hover over it, notice that there are some things that are highlighted, the corners and the center. If I'm going to define the height, I only want to click on something fairly ordinary, which will be the line, not on one of those vertexes or corners. Drag to the left, and I'll create the dimension 3.5 inches. There's nothing magical about these numbers. They're arbitrary for this demonstration. I'll click on OK. Now I'm back out of dimension mode, and I've defined the vertical height of the rectangle. Next, I want to define the horizontal width. Instead of clicking on Smart Dimension, I'm going to use a keyboard accelerator that I had defined. If you haven't done that on your machine, you may want to do that at this time. It's described in the configuration video. So I push the letter D. I'm in dimension mode. Now I could click on the line and do the same thing I did a moment ago. Instead, we're going to use the more generic method of clicking on two features and defining the distance between them. So one feature would be the left edge. Initially, SOLIDWORKS thinks I'm trying to do another vertical dimension, which I'm not. I'll move over and click on the second reference, which is the right edge. Now SOLIDWORKS understands the context. I get a dimension. I'm going to make it 3 inches, and I'm done dimensioning that rectangle. I will close the dialog. If I want to change a number, I can click on it, punch in a different number, and make it 4 in this case. That looks good. Go ahead and add some features inside of it that I will dimension independently. So a circle. I'll add a slot. Slot is a two-part operation. And I'll add a polygon. Remember, polygons can be a little difficult to see. And I'll make the polygon not at a right angle. It's in yellow. And there it is. It may be clearer on your display. So I've got these three features created, but they're not dimensioned yet. Let's dimension the circle first. I'll finish the polygon, go into Smart Dimension by pressing the letter D. Now if I click on the periphery of the circle and drag away, I'm given a leader line and the opportunity to punch in a number. I'll make it 0.5 in diameter. Let's get this right. Make it 0.5. Okay, now it's a 1/2 inch diameter circle. This is a good moment to talk about datums. A datum is a reference edge, and we'll usually have a datum for each of the three reference axes, X, Y, and Z, for any given part. I'll declare that my left edge here is my horizontal datum. So everything horizontally will be dimensioned from there. Vertically, my datum will be my bottom edge. So in effect, what I'm declaring is that this lower left corner is my origin. Alright, I'm still in dimension mode. Look at the cursor. Let's dimension the center of the circle to the bottom. I'll make it 2.75. And now I need to add the horizontal dimension from the line to there, and I'll make it 0.75. Okay, now that circle is defined for diameter and location. In other words, it's fully defined. So let's go ahead and dimension the slot. Now a slot has a variety of things on it that I could dimension. Let's do the simplest approach. Before I do so, I want to point out that when I gave the dimension, the diameter of the circle, it's shown as a diameter, and it has the circle with a line through it, which is the diameter indicator. If I dimension the curved feature at the end of the slot, it will be shown as a radius, an R, instead of the diameter. And the reason for that is that it is a partial circle. In general, within SolidWorks, anything that's shown as a complete circle is dimensioned with diameter. Any partial circle is a radius. Right now it's at 0.3. I'm going to make it 0.275. Should make it a little bit smaller, which it did. That's fine. Let me define the distance between the two centers. I'll make that 1.5. And last but not least, we need to locate it within the rectangle. Before I do that, let me finish dimension mode and I'll show you how it is still movable. Notice I can move it up and down, and I can move it left and right. So I need to nail it down. I'll go back into dimension mode, dimension from the left edge to the one of the centers. I'll call it 1.25. Sometimes things move around the feature that you're dimensioning. Visually I'm talking about, which it did just now. It's something you'll get used to. And we're done with that dimensioning, and other than adding a vertical location, I'm done dimensioning the slot. So let's add that dimension again from the center to the bottom. I'm conforming to the datum so that everything is dimensioned from the lower left corner of the part. Make it 2 inches even, and there we are. We've now fully dimensioned that slot. Let's move ahead and dimension the polygon. I'm going to move it up and away a little bit for comfort. That sizes it. Here we go. We'll move it up to the right a bit. Now notice that this polygon isn't parallel to any of the other features. That was on purpose. I want you to see how when you add a dimension to something that isn't orthogonal or parallel to other references, that's okay, and you'll see how the dimensions appear somewhat differently. Again, I go back into dimension mode. I'm going to dimension between that line and the bottom line. Let's get that here. Hold on a second. That didn't work quite right. Let me fix that. You can always undo. That's the value of the undo button. Let's do it one more time. I think what happened is I had the center selected when I started to do my dimensioning. Now I've unselected everything. Go back into dimension mode. Once again, click on the top. There we are, the bottom line. And notice that the dimension comes off at an angle that is collinear with the feature itself, and that's really what I want. I'll make it 1 inch even, and we're good to go. But now we have a special requirement. The feature is not aligned to either axis, and we need to define that angle. And we'll do that by actually adding an angle designator. We'll click on the bottom and the bottom here, and notice that I'm given the opportunity to define the included angle. I'll make it 20 degrees. It might move the part a little bit, which it did. It is still not fully defined, but at least I have the angle declared. Now let's start defining it in an X and a Y. This would be my height off the X axis. We'll make it 0.9. and I need my, again, a dimension from the left edge to the center. Getting a little tight down here, I can scroll out and make myself a little room, and I'll make it 3 inches even. So now the part has everything dimensioned. I can test that theory by trying to drag things around. It will still say underdefined because the outside rectangle is able to be moved. But now when I move things, it moves as a unit. Notice that everything within it moves as a unit. So I'll drag to the side, and other than maybe some of the dimensions appearing to overlap each other, everything moves together. One last comment is that it's important to note that there's a difference in dimensioning within a model and dimensioning within a 2D drawing. The dimensions you put in a model or a sketch define the model, the shape and size of everything. The dimensions you add to a 2D drawing are based on the dimensions you put in the model, and they're there for documentation purposes. So if you want to change a part, you change it in the sketch. You do not change it in the drawing.
Thank you for watching. This video is part of a series created by Neil Rosenberg and Joseph Caswell. All rights reserved.